So now we have a 2014 Chevrolet Silverado that was here back in June, and the complaint back then was that it would intermittently not crank, like the battery was disconnected or very low. But if you cycled the key a couple of times, it would crank like nothing was wrong, so it's obviously not a dead battery. At that time I found a corroded run crank relay in the left dash fuse panel. There's actually a video on YouTube on this one, but I swapped out a couple of relays. I could never experience the actual condition myself. There were a whole bunch of codes related to computers in the vehicle, low battery voltage. I don't know why this is not scrolling. It's just not. Just because I got so many pages open, I guess. But it's back. Apparently it was good for a couple of weeks from what I understand, and then it started acting up again. The customer doesn't use the truck much. As you can tell, it's got 35,000 kilometers on it in June. I'm going to check the mileage now. But it continued to give him problems. He just parked the truck and hasn't driven it any significant amount, because he's always afraid it's going to leave him stranded. He did get it running today and drove it out here, but on the way here he stopped to buy gas. They made him shut the truck off while he was putting gas in it, and then it wouldn't start. He said it clicked like the battery was dead. Clicked several times, hooked up booster cables to another vehicle, clicked a couple times, and then it just started like it was okay again. So we're going to go out to the vehicle and see if it'll act up now that's been sitting, and hopefully it does. So I just opened the door on the truck, and that makes the odometer display the mileage. It's got 21 miles on the truck, and I'm going to attempt to crank it and see if it'll act up now.
Don't have to collect a ransom.
As usual, the vehicle starts like nothing's wrong. The last time I was here, I took the underhood fuse panel out and checked all the connections under it. The relays that I changed were in the fuse panel by the door pillar here. I don't know how they got some corrosion in them, but they did have. Well, we're going to throw a scan on it and see if there's any codes related to it. That'll give us a hint. So we're going to do a code scan on this thing and see what codes it reports. As I suspected, immobilizer key incorrect. That's a new one. Lost communication with electronic brake control. Damn, I hit the wrong button here. I actually don't touch the anti-lock brake computer here. Need to scroll it up this way, which it doesn't want to do. It's saving a report. Okay, so it saved the report. Well, let's scroll. We got lost communication with the electronic brake controller. We got a mobilizer incorrect key code. I don't know why this thing won't scroll. It's giving me a hard time today. So here's the vehicle system report. It's got codes in most controllers. So we got that immobilizer code, lost communication, control module power circuit voltage below, invalid data, passenger dimming, security sensor data, license plate lamp circuit, transponder authentication, like a whole laundry list of frickin' codes here. Tire pressure monitoring stuff. Control module power circuit voltage below. Control module power circuit voltage below. Control module power circuit voltage below. Like a pile of codes, mostly related to low battery voltage. Battery cables and connections look okay. I think it has a fairly recent battery put in it, but I can't see it being a battery because it fixes itself and the battery won't do that. I suspect it's a connection problem somewhere, but where? So I decided to do an all codes clear, and the interesting thing here is that it only cleared the codes from the radio, steering wheel control, telematics communication, and the TPMS. It should have cleared like 17 controllers. So I'm wondering if there's a current network issue right now that's causing a problem. So I rescanned the network and it scanned 17 controllers, yet previously it only cleared codes from 4. And obviously the codes did not go away when I cleared the codes. So I'm going to bring it in the shop and have a look at the CAN bus and see what the signal looks like. So I've got this OBD2 breakout box installed, and you can see that I've got the yellow trace connected to the CAN. I can't see it with this flashing light, CAN L, and the green trace connected to CAN H, which is 6 and 14 at the DLC, and the ground connected to pin 4 or 5. I think that's number 5. And this is what the network activity looks like with the key on. It looks relatively clean. Let's see what it looks like while it's running. Okay, let's try this again. During cranking and while running, we might see a different situation here. Definitely not as clean, but that's not uncommon. I have seen that on other GM products where the CAN signals get a little dirty, so to speak. You notice how the bias voltage is fluctuating on the CAN network. I do see some other anomalies running in through there once in a while, though. Let's try changing the time base here. Let's try 1 millisecond. So with a time base of 1 millisecond, you can see that there's some electrical interference in the signal, but that, again, like I said, is not necessarily uncommon. Let's try 200 microseconds. We could try disabling the alternator in case we have a diode issue in the alternator, but I mean, that's not going to affect a cranking event. That might affect network communication if it was running, but his problem is that it's cranking. It would also be wise to check terminating resistance at the DLC, but that requires disconnecting the battery, so I think I'm going to do that because it's easy to do. So battery disconnected, no network activity obviously with no battery. Got 61 ohms of resistance across pins 6 and 14, so there's no opens or shorts in the network, so much for that. Maybe we're chasing a ghost here. So just for good measure, I took apart the positive and negative cables and cleaned them again, although I had done that last time. I had disconnected the negative cable here to kill the network, but I probably could have just unplugged this large blue connector here. Note that it was here before. I put dielectric grease in the connector. I've had that apart before. You could hear the scan tool power up when I plug that in, that main feed. Anyways, we'll seal up these posts and see if we can see anything better on the lab scope. Well, now it did an all code clear of 16 controllers. Now, I'm not sure if that was because of an anomaly in the truck or an anomaly in the scan tool. I obviously had the scan tool powered down and powered back up again because I had the battery disconnected, so that would have rebooted the communication interface, at least, not the software. I didn't restart the software. So we're going to try another network scan and see if any codes have returned. So upon rescanning it again, after doing that network code clear, we've got an ABS code for invalid data from the body control module. Let's go in there and try and clear that again. Codes menu, clear codes. Are you sure? I know it's running, but usually it allows you to clear while it's running. Continue, display codes, and the U0422 comes back. So I'm going to retry with the key on engine off. So I've got the key on engine off. We're going to clear codes now, key on engine off as it suggested. Most GMs will allow you to clear the codes from the computers while it's running. Give it a couple of seconds, ask it to display codes, and this U0422 consistently returns. Okay, let's do a network code clear. Let's do a network code clear one more time, and then rescan the ABS controller and see if that code is back. Now, a communication problem between the BCM and the network, because the BCM is responsible for sending the crank request message across the CAN bus to the ECM. A network problem could result in a no crank condition or an act like. So that time it detected 16 controllers. Why only 16? The last time was 17. I'll have to review that and see what's different. Alright, let's go into ABS. Go into codes menu, display codes. Well, at least we've got some consistency here. This U0422 keeps returning, so we're going to see if there's any cases on that. So I did a keyword search for this U0422 code, and I'm not really seeing any hotline archives for it. But I did find this TSB, multiple U-code diagnostic information, with one having symptom byte 71, which is what I have. Let's go back to the scanner. Invalid data from body control module, symptom 71. So that's what I actually have. Now, reading through this TSB, it basically says that that code sets if the module sending the data sends invalid data. And not necessarily doesn't mean the module is defective. And then it goes on to give you an example where you've got this 0422 code in the ABS module, and you've got all these messages. Now, this thing does have a problem with the tire pressure monitor system, but I can't see that setting a U code in the ABS because of the tire pressure monitoring. So I'm kind of at a loss as to where to go now with this thing. That code keeps consistently returning. The only way you'd know if it had to do with the TPMS is to fix the TPMS system. I'm not sure what's malfunctioning in it. Probably the sensors are dead or missing, because it's got different tires on it, so likely a sensor got damaged or is missing, or the sensor batteries have died. So we're not much further ahead. I think I'll look at another resource to see if there's any other cases on it. So with the multitude of fault codes related to the BCM, I decided I'd have a look at the BCM. I took it out. It's underneath the left side of the dash here. Disconnected all the connectors. There's absolutely no sign of moisture intrusion or corrosion on any of the pins, but there were some codes related to security which could result in a no crank condition, but also could be a problem with the actual BCM breaking down. I'm going to explore some of the other fault codes.